Yeah. It's like, is it real? Is it not?
And people say that, a lot of those movies, the language of them, because it just comes from a specific place that's, funny and poignant and true. Yeah, the small town theater scene and just these little cults of dog show competitions, folk group, and A Mighty Wind, and then Actors in For Your Consideration too. He's just brilliant to tap into these subcultures and to expose them.
Is he having fun?
No, it's really fun. On Best in Show, during breaks, everyone was hanging out at where we were shooting in Toronto, which was where the dog show competition took place. We would sing during the breaks while we shot, and then that's what inspired Chris to create A Mighty Wind.
Oh, really?
Yeah, after that. I mean, of course, it's something that he grew up with, and that with that kind of music. And then, of course, he opened for himself as the folksman for Spinal Tap. There was a show where they opened for themselves. I know, and he could pick up any instrument and play it.
What do you think of the whole Amy Schumer kind of verdict on Hollywood, that you've got, X amount of time?
Most of these people are in prison under state law, but the federal law set a trend.
Until the president acted, the justice...
I could never be trusted in society again, and there for a while...
Drug, right?
Yeah, that was my crime. And I think the war a couple of months, but for 10 years, a decade, or the rest of their lives, I mean, what do you think that kid's going to do growing up in that environment that his father did? I mean, it's just almost, there's no teachers, no lawyers where I grew up at. When I look on TV, I don't see people that look like me, that talk like me, are playing roles of an officer, of a judge. Usually the person that looks like me in a TV show or on a movie is going to prison. He's selling drugs. He's using drugs. And for people who think that doesn't have an impact on a kid whose brain is not fully developed, they're absurd.
Can you tick off for me just a couple of things that happened in the world, in your family, while you were in prison?
I watched about six to seven of my family members pass away. Aunts, uncles, cousins. My son, who was 7 months old, grew up without me. When I was released, he was from 7. He went to 17 years.
How much is
President Obama? And I see President Obama as the father.
No redemption from being in prison without the possibility of parole, but the fact that you're going to spend the rest of your life on eggshells, that doesn't sound like redemption. I'm a law-abiding American. Okay, Jason? Years in prison.
In the future, ask for.
Jason, thanks so much.
Thank you, John.
Changed in our notions of race, crime, and justice over the past 2
and whites has really dropped off. I haven't felt this divide since the OJ trial and the verdict.
Let's try to reverse that sadness, shall we?
For increased understanding of East and Southeast Asia, the Takeaways Resilience Reporting is supported by the Rockefeller Foundation. For more, go to rockfound.org.
School of Medicine about transplants is available at Miami Transplant Institute.
Terrorism, if people want to use it as a label for expressing sort of the strongest possible kind of disapproval of what people are doing, if that's all you want, then just, of course, these were both utterly wicked acts. But one was a wicked political act, as far as we can tell, linked to a broader political and religious context, kind of pure, random, personal evil. And I think what was extraordinary about the Colorado case is, of course, you very rarely see these trials because very often these people kill themselves or get killed. It's very unusual to have one of these mass shooters on trial. It was very interesting seeing the judge's instructions to the jury in Colorado. He said to them, if you agree with the defense that he was insane, then be aware that you will never face any criminal punishment on these charges again. And I wonder how heavily that weighed on jurors, as they wanted to see some sort of punishment for what he'd done.
I agree entirely with David, and I think that the difference is the young man in Chattanooga targeted 2 military installations. There's a reason for that. There's a message in that, and I don't think we can ignore it.
It's interesting that USA Today reports that since the Colorado shootings 3 years ago, 78 additional mass killings have occurred, claiming the lives of nearly 400 additional victims. So,
and virtually nothing has happened in the Congress since then, nor is likely to happen during the last year and a half of President Obama's term. This is one of the great disappointments that he had. It is shocking to many people in parts of the country that Congress has not acted, but the deep-rooted presence of people who believe in the Second Amendment and the rights of gun ownership, and the idea that steps proposed in Congress would somehow incrementally restrict that right have proven much more powerful, and the intensity of that opposition has proven more powerful than the broad support for the kind of steps that the president advocated, and we're going to hear in the 2016 campaign as well.
let me hear you had this killing out in California, where an immigrant who had been deported 5 times killed a woman on the street walking with her daughter. I mean, guns.
Well, the one thing that is a little bit different and long-term might help is that while nothing can pass in Congress for the reasons that John articulated very well, the administration is actually starting to keep some data. And one of the things that's been lacking from all of the gun debates is that the proponents of change have not had hard data to make their case because the NRA had prevented the Justice Department from keeping statistics. And that ranges from number of victims and number of cases, mass shootings versus single shootings. In addition, when people started asking about police officers killing civilians, whether black or white, what are the numbers? Nobody had them, because that's another number they couldn't keep. Well, now they're starting to keep some of those numbers, as USA Today is able to report. That could ultimately start changing the debate.
And the presidential campaign also did again.
Although we tragically have not really seen any candidate on the Republican side breaking the kind of consensus that gun rights are absolute. I think what the Colorado shooting should also remind us is the absolute toxic insincerity of the pro-gun lobby and the NRA, because when we have these mass shootings, they're constant refrains to say, don't blame guns, this is about mad people, this is about mental illness, this is about sickos, this is about crazies. And then they devote extraordinary effort to making it impossible, or as hard as possible, to restrict the access of mentally ill people to guns. I mean, let's not forget that the single most, the one thing tried after the terrible school shooting in Connecticut to eliminate in the background, which the NRA is trying to do is to people with criminal hands and mental illness. One thing that we're lucky to follow for mentally ill. So I think the total.
I will say that I think the restrictions on gun ownership, and they're just more slowly. We've just been through a situation in marriage where you have a very the senior, older, rural-minded whites are people who are pro-gun over time.
I would and times forget and watch the program. Tell her to done watch it. Support God come from the organizations. Curious. Committed to helping people. Thousands of like this. See it more. Stock bills. And more.com/y'all. Casey, who's every kid you can report like child policies and practices. More information is available at a.org. From the list we support, there's
South Florida's NPR 1.3 Friday news. It's on 95 minutes from the airport and retail and office space available. For 454-94-org. On South Florida, Barry tells us to the Miami Jason the flamenco speaking the based dance and performing Norman Bennett on his calendar features sure to catch and in every South Florida Miami before
and welcome back to Frank told that seeing Chattanooga possibly multiple trips to the Middle East to Yemen. They have an email is because his name is Natalie and he was to radical Islam. It's immediately called when the young man saw 8 men and women in church. He was a hate crime. The media and hard over it was terrorism. The killer after being to be a terrorist.
So clearly not about decades to describe organizations which are being used and death as their political aim. Irish terrorism from the United Kingdom terrorism, or it has a and John said absolutely writing about that website that is something that motivates him to seek out.
It's a hate because it was driven by, and this targets are military targets. And the first thing we saw, not his name, we saw was his target.
Is beyond defined terrorism as acts by ideologies. A definistic terrorist act is our own ideas, like Klan or eke up the distinctions as well as most countries. John.
point, it's lost on me. I will say proof that there was reporting indicating that he has some notion he wanted to embrace war. That could be seen as a political problem. Also want some war.
Let's turn to something political. That is the Iran agreement that was Tuesday. Has 60 days to review, to comment, and whether to agree to
or to is power, and this is likelihood to be symbolic. We can expect all is lined up against. Even Rand, who initially thought negotiations avoiding confrontation, diplomacy, anything support, but all the details. Some of them bother against. We can look at a very partisan vote. So the Democrats are where things, and out of it, a lot of the folks going to be on Chuck New York, the leader in he also strong representative. Is advocates. He comes down on the influential Democrats.
They have Yahoo, the president, is speaking out strong against it. Play for is he to influence the majority of Congress vote against it.
I think he's played a factor, not just this, his visit to Congress, his speech at the UN. Previously, he played a role. A lot of grassroots, who frankly, across the East, the person who makes the most sense when it comes to dealing with this is been as many Republican members of Congress, frankly, nomination in 2016 for President Short captures quite a chunk of the Republican opinion. So in the past, and most recent comments that Iran is starting to take over the whole world, he has been in the capacity to step to ends up helping Democrats roll into. And if he also makes very so blatantly, because as Gene correctly, turn a presidential veto, Democrats would need to 13 Democratic senators, have a 67 which would overturn
which is her
loses 13 Democrats safe. And the more that Benjamin Netanyahu makes this into a positive issue for the right,
that a majority of Congress in both chambers against this deal. However, they are to get 209 House this deal. It's significant that recently came out strongly in favor of this deal. Legacy brought it to completion. The House, Pelosi, also put against the president. They trade to not very said, I've reviewed these carefully. They urge members to vote for it. Nancy Pelosi is she is not going to lose. I don't believe sufficient Democrats to vote.
China came and said,
I think John makes the most. A lot of people are looking at this goal. They're more focused on what's going to happen. They're going to be first up. But White House perspective, the place where all of this is because Pelosi will not members to overlap detail.
so, believe is still going.
well, there's another one. As John says, a majority disagreement hit that super majority threshold, so there's to veto it. If it comes close, then the policies of that are pretty bad. And interesting is on kind of two, you got Republicans and Democrats saying